LinkedIn Echo Chamber. We're back with Nando for his final meeting. Nando, you've spoken to us all week about your journey to San Francisco to raise interest and investment in Balance.social. I'd like to finish by just getting into, I suppose, the personal side of it. Your own learnings and what you got from it. We understand from the prior episodes that you probably had a few hangovers and a slowly emptying bank account by the end. But there must be things that you got out of it that you've kept hold of. So your personal kind of growth from it. I wondered if you could take us through some of that.
There's several of them, right? The first thing I realized in my very first day, right? So the typical, like the LinkedIn bio, right? You have this, huge bio about how a transformational leader that you are and this and that and what you've done. And I got there and saw a typical profile would be like, PhD at Stanford, 6 patents or 3 exits, $10 million. That's it, right? So I soon realized time is money, right? So get rid of all the fluff and be as specific and objective as you can. And I've always believed in that. But when I just saw that it operated and demonstrated at a different level, I was actually put to shame. I had to rewrite a lot of things very quickly. That's number one. Number two, I'd kind of say is don't fall in too much in love with your own idea, right? And I saw that firsthand with lots of other projects of people I found and met there, where 80% of your end product, most often than not, has got nothing to do with where you started off, which is quite profound. I've read and heard about it, but just seeing it firsthand, which then kind of boiled onto the fact that if you are too obsessed about what you're building is the most optimal thing, then it's a big problem. The third one is probably less flattering because I spend a lot of time thinking with just a bunch of very dedicated academicians and data scientists amongst my social circle. We build something which doesn't exist in the world. So there are large tech giants who are spending, hundreds of billions, probably not hundreds of billions, tens of billions into R&D. Why are they not able to solve it? Is that either because they are over-engineering it and making it so complex that they are incredibly nervous about putting a beta out there? Or is it the lack of want to do it is because you want a polarized society? So that was a little depressing is because I met some leading foundations, met some very interesting people. And that question still remains to the fact that even today, there is no platform that guarantees multiple perspectives on any platform. And even with all the regulations, the algorithms are not auditable. So that is, I came back with a heavy heart.
Yeah, right. Polarization sells, huh? Okay. What about like personal skills and or anything that kind of happened to you that you've adopted, or just any part of the experience that you say, is there something I can ask you? What do you do every week that is like a consequence of something that happened to you in San Francisco and that experience?
Less is more, right? Number two is don't keep people hanging. Be as open and honest. I know it's not a typical thing you do in this part of the world, but just be open and honest. It hurts, but it helps. So both in terms of receiving and providing feedback, and sky's the limit. Honestly, sky's the limit because I've kind of taken a lot of those learnings, and now the blind spot in the consumer space, I've applied that into the corporate world. I'm actually working with some of the most influential people in the world, CEOs of large companies, and helping them overcome their blind spots.
And tell me about how you use less is more there, because you skirted over that point as a kind of a learning. I think I recognise it, but I'd like you to explain it to everybody. So, what was the learning of less is more? And you've explained what you're doing today with your kind of consulting business. Like, how does it all go together now?
So the point is, right, we all we sometimes call it the verbal diarrhea, right? You're obsessed and it's very difficult to kind of gauge feedback. So the ability to kind of articulate even your most passionate uh, business, right? So, I was in the US and sometimes I was given a challenge of 30 seconds to explain what I was doing, right? 30 seconds. And I had pitched the typical 30 minutes, 15-minute versions, but I just wasn't ready for a 30-second elevator pitch, right? And you're not talking about an elevator pitch. This is literally even for funding, right? So I just realized, people take it to a different level, and then obviously you have very pertinent questions, and you go deeper and deeper and deeper. But the ability to kind of articulate even the most complicated and sophisticated and things which you're very passionate about in very simple and concise way is very, very important.
Yeah, I agree, Nandu. I'm not that guy, unfortunately. Anyone who knows me will know that, why say something in 5 words when you can say it in 550? So I tend to suffer from it. I recognize the power of it. But it was only last week I got congratulated on sending a 2-minute voice message to a business partner when they're normally 17 minutes long. So I think
Okay.
this is good advice, and certainly something I could keep working on. Hey, Nandu, thanks for taking us through everything that happened to you, your experience in San Francisco. Congratulations on doing it, and being able to talk about it in this way. It was a kind of crazy thing to do at the time. In the middle of a pandemic was really brave. But I think you've got a great story to tell. So thanks for telling it to us.
Thank you for the opportunity, John.